Good afternoon and welcome to Customer Effects Training Webinars. My name is Dale Richter and today we're going to be talking about the SalesLogix web client and changing options for groups and opportunities. Just going to switch over quickly here to my web client, and currently we're looking at the account screen, and in the upper right hand corner here I'm just going to go and click on options. In the options, we have several different tabs in here. The general search tab, the activities and alarms, changing passwords, opportunities, calendar, and group. In this webinar that I'm doing right now, we're just going to be talking about the opportunities and the group tab. The other tabs will be covered in other webinars that you can also find on the Customer Effects page. Okay, so let's start here with the opportunities. Under opportunities, we have several different options here that are set per user. So each user can set up their own defaults as they create opportunities. The first one up here is using default naming conventions. And it says as defined by the administrator, but it actually is programming. So you'd have to have a programmer if you wanted to change the default naming conventions to something of your own liking. And of course that would be changed for the whole company then. If you're going to use the default naming conventions, the sample as it shows here, it's going to put the company name and then it's going to put a phase number. So the phase number is going to coincide with how many opportunities that have been created for that account. If you choose not to use the naming conventions, then you can just put in your own description, whatever that may be. Down below that, underneath other here, we have opportunity status, opportunity type, and probability. The opportunity status is going to default to open. Hopefully when we just create our opportunities, they're all going to be open and not closed. The opportunity type, we do have a pick list here, and out of the box pick list is either add-on or new. If you're always going to be creating new opportunities versus add-on, or 90% of the time, you could set this as new, or you could leave it as blank also and not set an opportunity type and have to fill that out on the screen. Then there's a probability, and this is the probability that this opportunity will close. Out of the box, I think it's set to 1%. I set it up here to 10%, and of course we could also change that as the opportunity is being created. So I'll just leave that at 10%. Then if we move up here to the upper right side of this screen, it says use this estimated close date, and it says set the estimated close to 2. It's set at 2 right now. You could set it at any number of months after opening, and the initial change estimated close to the last day of the month. So as the default is set right here, it would set that estimated close date to 2 months out and then the last day of that month. And of course you can change that. You could also change it on the fly as you're creating that opportunity. Then in the default sales process area, if you're using sales processes in your company, you could set a default sales process. Now I have several of them listed there. Those sales processes would have to be created by an administrator before you as a user would be able to choose them here. If you're not using sales processes, just leave it set as none. Then we have default contacts. So we can add contacts to our opportunities. We can either add all the contacts associated with the account, we could add only the account's primary contact, or add no contacts at all. Now when they say add no contacts at all, it doesn't mean you cannot add any. It means that it won't add any in the defaults. So if you wanted to manually go add those contacts for each opportunity, you could choose that one. Or only have the primary contact associated. Very rarely have I seen all the contacts associated with the account be added to the opportunity. But I suppose there are some occasions that it would happen. Okay, and then the last one here is we have products. If I click on that products button there, it brings up my product screen. I can filter my products just as I do when I'm looking up products for an opportunity. So if I wish to add any products to my opportunity as default again, I can add them through here. Again, I haven't ran into too many companies where they always have a product on every opportunity. But if that's the case for your company, go ahead and do so. So that's the opportunity options in here. And again, they are set per user. So as you're logged in as that user, then you can set those opportunity defaults. The other tab I wanted to go through in this webinar is the Group tab. So I'm just going to go over here and click on the Group tab. Not too many options in here. Basically, this is telling us what default group we're going to be looking at for each specific entity. So there's two settings over on the left here, the main view and the default group. So the first main view that's showing is the account. When this user looks at accounts, the default group is going to be all accounts. Now if I switch to another entity, let's go to opportunities. For opportunities, it is set for my opportunities. So whenever someone goes, whenever this user, I should say, goes to opportunities, the default group is going to be my opportunities. Let's change this again. Let's look at contacts. So for contacts, it's set to all contacts. So whenever this user goes to the contacts entity, all contacts would be the default group. Now we could change that to any one of the groups that we have listed here. So if I rather just see my Missouri and Wisconsin every time I go to contacts, if that's the group I'm working or the territory that I'm working, I could set that to Missouri and Wisconsin and make sure that you save that in the upper right hand corner here and the save icon. And then every time this user goes to the contact entity, Missouri and Wisconsin would be the default group of contacts that are showing. So when you set these, make sure you choose the main view first and then set the default group. Over on the right hand side it says Autofit Column. So it's automatically resizing the columns to fit inside the screen space. So that'll prevent any horizontal scrolling that you would have to do to see the columns. So I recommend to leave that checked. So those are the options for group. As I said before, the other tabs will be covered in other webinars. So this webinar for the SalesLogix web client was about changing options for groups and opportunities. I want to thank you for joining me today, and have a great day.